Hey guys, my name is Susie. I'm a personal trainer and educator, and in this video I'm going to be sharing 3 things I did to go from almost unable to walk and on multiple medications to pain-free and symptom-free. I started personal training when I was 19. I grew up homeschooled, so I was a little weird. I loved learning, but I hated classrooms, and the fitness industry was perfect for me because it felt like an environment I could grow in. I struggled a lot at first, but as soon as I got the hang of it, I was one of the top personal trainers in the company. The symptoms started in 2016 when I started taking birth control, and it was little stuff at first like bloating and then joint pain, and I relied heavily on caffeine. I didn't think it meant anything, and I was so focused on my career, so it was easy for me to just ignore my body and give into the hustle. At this point, I was in charge of leading a team, and I was only 21, so all my energy was going to that. I learned so many lessons. I moved up fast in the company and was completely in over my head, but I totally faked it and tried to be someone that I wasn't. My symptoms got really bad. I was taking multiple medications for chronic strep throat, joint pain, and birth control on top of a really bad diet. Like, I think I was having multiple energy drinks a day. I felt like an 80-year-old. I was lost, confused, and anxious about everything. I was in a total victim mentality, and I didn't feel like myself. The moment that changed everything was one night my pain was so bad, I was just crying on the couch, and my boyfriend at the time was like, "We are going to the hospital." I was there for 9 hours. They ran multiple tests that all came back normal. I saw 5 doctors who were all confused. And I'm just sitting there like, man, if these people can't figure out what's wrong with me, then what do I do? So I left the emergency room still in pain, but just with more pain medication. And I woke up the next day, gyms were closed, so I wasn't working, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. When I commit myself to something, I have blinders on and I just go. I stopped taking every medication, I just threw them in the garbage, and I started slowly taking out processed foods, and everything in my life shifted after that. I have not had any symptoms since cutting out medications and processed foods. I've always been into fitness, but that was the beginning of me just throwing myself, mind, body, and soul into disease research. I quit management, so I would train 6 to 7 clients, come home, and spend 3 to 4 hours listening to podcasts and taking notes on my laptop, and I would draw out these diagrams of DNA and chemical reactions in a notebook with crayons. I felt so empowered, and my love of learning came back. I was living with my sister at the time, and she had friends over, and I was just at the table typing away on my laptop with my DNA diagrams, and her friends were like, "Is your sister doing her PhD or something?" She was like, "No, she's just a huge nerd." At the gym that I worked at, I would talk about everything I learned the day before. So one of my clients was upset because her doctor said she had high cholesterol, even though she was eating healthy and exercising. So I asked her what her numbers were and was able to explain to her what they meant. And she was like, "Oh, thanks, that makes me feel better." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And there was another moment where my manager was telling me about symptoms he had. So I told him what vitamins to take, and he was feeling better within a couple days, and he was thrilled. So he had me teach all the team meetings. And there were so many moments like that where I was seeing these symptoms all around me, and people think it's normal, but it's not. It's the body trying to tell you something is wrong. You can't get through a day without hearing from a friend or coworker that they have a migraine or heartburn or fatigue, and it's not normal to feel like that. It's just common. I spent 2 years practicing talking in front of a camera, and I just want to talk about my story in a way that helps, because when I had all my symptoms, I was watching YouTube videos for hours a day, and I want my videos to be about what people need in those moments where you feel hopeless and alone, because I'm very familiar with that feeling and it sucks. There's people out there who are young, like 20 to 40, and they feel like garbage, and these symptoms are common because of the environment we are in, but they are not normal. And when you change your environment, I promise it does get better. Chronic metabolic diseases are 70% of healthcare costs. And if I had continued down the path I was going, then I would have developed a disease, and maybe I would have ended up spending tens of thousands of dollars on medications. We could save so much money and so much suffering if we had a root cause approach, and that's not something medicine can give us. My mission is to help people reverse their symptoms and stop relying on medications. To feel good in life is a birthright, and I definitely forgot that, and I think a lot of people have. I was a young personal trainer. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't smoke. I was what people would consider healthy, and I didn't know that the thing that was ruining my body was medications, stress, and bad food. You need nutrients, exercise, and people that you love around you in order to truly live life. I'm just excited to empower others with what I know. That's my story. Now, there's actually 3 really specific habits and behaviors I did to heal my body and become symptom-free. Cutting out medications was a big one, but I noticed the skin problems would come back if I was under a lot of stress. It came to a point where I realized I needed to deal with all the emotions I was avoiding instead of sweeping them under the carpet. I started to really pay attention to the thoughts I was having about myself, and for a good 6 months, I assumed the role of my own full-time therapist. Every night, I would write down all the thoughts I had that day that put me in a victim role, and all the thoughts that helped me. What I noticed is just by giving attention to my victim mentality, it slowly started to go away. In order to get rid of symptoms, you need to get curious about them. So assume the role of being your own therapist and get curious about the thoughts you have and whether they are helping you or making your life harder. There's a quote by Wayne Dyer that I love, and it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Second thing I did was I stopped doing intense workouts. For my whole career, I was into powerlifting and then Olympic lifting, and these sports are not easy on your body. I had a lot of chronic neck pain and hip pain, but I had this push through mentality that was not serving me. I took a step back and I started moving in ways that made me feel good. My workouts went from heavy barbell movements to kettlebells and cables. If I don't feel like training, then I go for a long walk instead. So learn to listen to your body and move in ways that feel good. Pain is an indication that you need to move differently. Third thing that helped reverse my symptoms was cutting out all processed foods. I didn't realize how much of what I was eating was hurting me. Foods like protein pancakes, love those, protein powders, oatmeal, and chicken fingers that are full of ingredients that harm the gut and the mitochondria. Neurotransmitters are produced in the gut, and when the gut is dealing with harmful medications and processed ingredients, it cannot make these neurotransmitters, which means nutrient deficiency makes it so you can't feel emotions like excitement, love, and creativity. So by being strict with your diet and eating real whole food, you'll start to notice your personality change. Thoughts, movement, and nutrition impact the emotions we feel and how we behave. So by changing your environment, by changing your thoughts, movements, and nutrition, you will become a whole new person. I really hope this helps. Make sure you hit subscribe for more videos like this. As always, remember that your symptoms are common but not normal, and you have all the power to change and experience radical health and well-being.